Hey, good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing?
Good morning.
Well, I know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not Tony. Unfortunately, Tony may be popping in and out. He is our designated managing broker, which means if we ever have to go to court with an agent, he's the guy that goes. So, unfortunately, he's sitting in a courtroom right now. He thought it would get over, but it's still hanging on. So, poor thing. He did want me to apologize, but not to worry. You will not believe our guest today. Knolly Williams is absolutely amazing. First, let me introduce myself if you don't know. My name is Lindsay Holland. I'm one of your Texas managing brokers. You have 10 Texas managing brokers supporting you here in Texas. So I just want to let you know that's who I am. I am newer to the team, about 6 months. I also bring on the farm and ranch background. So I've been doing that since 2015 full time. Texas and land is my jam. So you will see me in the broker room or workplace chatting. And I met several of you at the event at EXPCon. So, and that was an amazing event. And Nolly, I saw you, but I didn't get to actually like hug you and meet you. So another time we will have to do
Yeah,
that.
we'll do it again soon. These events are amazing, and if you're not coming to the events, make yourself a note to come to the next event. It's phenomenal. It really is. The big events is where big things happen. Yep.
Absolutely. And someone said the other day, they're like, you know, I couldn't afford a VIP pass, just going to general session, just doing that. And then leveling up, just you got to start somewhere. You have to start
Yep.
from where you're at right now and share a room. They just announced the dates for the next EXPCon. Shareholders is another great event. I have not been to shareholders, but it's on my list and next. So Nolly, I'm sure you can elaborate on some of that as well when you're talking
Sure.
about massive action in our business and how to
Yeah.
level up. But y'all, on the live, I just wanted to let you know, introduce you to myself, and why Tony may be coming in and out. Uh, but you know what? We're glad he's there for us, supporting our agents in the courtroom. That is a serious thing, and we got your back. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce y'all. Nolly Williams. Let me just tell you, talk about the listing master, just leveling up in general, the doctor of getting things done. Let me tell you, this man is unbelievable. I am so sad I didn't get to hug you like I said for EXPCon. But I'm just gonna let you introduce yourself and let you
Sure.
give the high points, and then success with listings. Agents, man, if you have a listing, you are running the show right now in this market. So this is very
Yeah.
important. You listen up, and take these little nuggets of knowledge he's dropping you. So, without further ado, thank you, Nolly.
Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, Tony. Appreciate you being in court for us, Texas agents. Texas, how many agents do we have in Texas,
Oh,
Lindsay, now?
a little over 9,000.
Oh my goodness, such a blessing, such a huge blessing. And I think there's one state that's beating us right now, but we're going to beat them. I think there might be one state that's beating us, but anyway, in agent count. Um, so thank you, Tony, for doing this. I know this is only the second time that we've had our live here for not just for the state of Texas, but for everybody to partake because this live streams onto YouTube and a lot of other places as well. What I want to talk about today is how to build a massive listing business in today's emerging market. I call it the emerging market because it is, the market's always changing. It's always changing. Lindsay, I got into real estate 20 years ago. It'll be 20 years this upcoming year, and been right here. I'm actually in Austin, Texas today, hence my head cold and the allergies and all the stuff that comes with being in Austin. Today it's unseasonably cool, but I moved to Puerto Rico. I live in Puerto Rico now, and I've been there for about 3 months. So this market that you're in right now is a perfect market for listings. When the market's up, listings. When the market's down, listings. And the truth is, you should be able to make twice as much money in this emerging market as you made last year in last year's market. And we're going to talk about that here today. Lindsay, what's our time look like? Because I've got a lot of information to kind of burn through, and I'm not sure if we can do the Q&A side of it.
You know what? We have about 55 minutes. This is an
Sure,
hour long.
perfect,
So
perfect.
I should be able to hash through, I think, the meat of it. And then also, too, you're available on Workplace Chat if our
Yeah,
agents want to reach out and things like that.
sure.
Okay. Yeah,
Absolutely,
definitely take
absolutely.
advantage of. It's amazing when I went to EXPCon, some of these agents were like, "What's Workplace Chat?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"That's
it's
how you get a
crazy.
hold. That's how you get a hold of everybody. Like that
Yeah.
is the best thing."
It's so funny because I hosted a listing explosion course or class there at EXPCon, and during the breakout, it was a breakout session with one gal that does about 120 listings a year, and then we had Jeff Whiteside, who's actually the number one EXP team at EXP. He got awarded, sold over 600 houses. But Monica, who was on the panel, she came up to me before the panel, like the day before. She said, "What are we going to talk about? Let's hash it out." I said, "No, everything's on Workplace Chat. We've been chatting for like a week. Here's all the questions. Everything's there." She was like, "Well, could you just take a screenshot?" I said, "Nope, I'm not going to take a screenshot. You're going to download Workplace Chat to your phone right now, and you're going to get informed because something might change between now and tomorrow morning." And so, yeah, workplace chat and workplace are the places that you want to be. You want to have them on your computer, and you also want to download them to your phone as well. If you're like me, you got a new iPhone on Monday of this week, then you might see some stuff populate a little bit late, but that's okay. So, how do you build this massive listing business? When I got into the listing game, I took over 1,000 listings my first 10 years in the business. I came from the music industry, and when I got out of the music industry, I was doing really well until I wasn't. I was actually in that industry, I was making $150,000 a month in that business. Okay. But I had a lot of headaches with it. I had 14 employees. We had a $42,000 a month payroll. We had, lots of overhead. And when the music industry shifted, I got shifted out of the business. And some of you are seeing that right now happening in your business right now. You're seeing this. There's a shift happening. And the question is, who moved my cheese? Yes, last year it was so easy. I just, meet with someone, they list with me, I put it on the market, or I show buyers around. Now the buyer market was not easy, you know, and so listings is really where you want to park yourself. When I got in the game, everybody kept telling me listings. Listings was where it was at. I didn't talk to any new agents. I just talked to the seasoned ones, and they were like, "Man, you got to do listings. Listings is where whatever." And so, interestingly, nobody told me that I had to join a team first. So I didn't. I did it on my own. And nobody told me, "Oh, you got to start with buyers for 3 or 4 years and then go to listings." Now, if that's what you've done, that's okay. But I'm here to tell you that that's not what you have to do. I started with listings from the very beginning. I took 21 listings my first 74 days in the business. The reason I know it was 21 listings is because I signed with, back then, with a company called Prudential. They've since changed names. And I was there exactly 74 days. And I had a listing inventory I'd already closed on a deal, and I had 20 listings uh, under in inventory. Okay. And so listings is just what I've done from day one in this business. And I've noticed that a lot of agents wait to get into listings until they feel more comfortable. And Uncle Nolly's here to tell you, don't wait, do it now. This is the time that you can do it. I'm gonna give you some tips on how to do it. So I'm now dedicated really to paying it forward, giving back. Um, I love to teach, train, coach, and just share my knowledge, pay it forward. I have a phenomenal revenue share group here at EXP. We have just over 331 members, and um, and EXP has is such a blessing in my life because I don't have to do what I do in my teaching, training, and coaching for dollars. Why? Because I look at EXP as like sort of like a sponsor, and they're paying me. I'll tell you, this year EXP is going to pay me over $250,000 in just in revenue share, and that money will not come out of the pockets of the agents. And that's why I'm able to do what I do for absolutely for free.
That is
And I,
absolutely amazing. Well, it's not for free. You put a lot of sweat equity into that.
sure, sure,
You've
sure.
invested your time, and time to me is a measurement of, money is a measurement of your time. No,
Yeah,
and I love it because when I started, I came from a marketing background. So for me, I love listings. And
yeah,
thank goodness
yeah,
I was smart enough to lean on my sphere of influence. Because in my
sure.
mind, somebody either wants to buy real estate or they know somebody who wants to buy real estate. So no person out there is a loss. Everyone you
Right.
can ask for the business and not be a secret agent. So
That's
I
right.
it's kind of like depending on who is your inspiration or your mentor, but same thing came in. And I love listings. I love marketing.
Yeah,
Buyers are not
yeah,
for me. So really digging into that was huge. So I was really excited when Tony was in court and I was like, "Yay, I get to learn a little bit as well." So I'm stoked
yeah,
about that. But 21 listings is huge. How did you
yeah.
manage all that?
Well, the thing is, I'm a systems person, and you have to have. I was just coaching a guy, and he said, "Man, I just spent my first year in real estate, um, but I was flying it by the seat of my pants. I didn't have a system in place, but I did pretty well, financially. And now he's got to take 3 months off because a lot of other things fell out of place for him. He said his faith, his family, his, working out, all that stuff kind of fell asunder because he didn't have a system in place. So I've actually created a really good system. One of the things, Lindsay, that's interesting about listings, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that in the listing game, over 90% of the activities that you do on a listing do not require a license. In fact, I've taken my system and I've broken it down into 46 different steps of what I do from the time that I generate a lead all the way to where I close the deal. And then there's 5 steps after closing. And 91.3% of those activities do not require a license, and they can actually be delegated to someone else. And I call those non-dollar productive or non-income producing activities. So that's
Non-revenue. I say non-revenue generating activities. Wow,
very
that
important.
that
Yeah,
is
very important.
awesome. I mean, who would have thought to break it down like that?
Yeah, and it's just the way I'm wired, so I help a lot of agents and that's on the second side of it. The first side of it is, well, wait a minute, I don't have any business to begin with. I need more business. And so that's kind of what we're here to tackle today. I'd love to come back and do like sort of another class where I talk about, okay, now that you've got a lot of business coming in, how do you automate that so that you can actually keep your sanity?
Awesome. Two-part series,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be
I will
great.
tell
That'd be
Tony
great.
you're on the list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I want to thank you right now for tuning in. You have a lot of places you could be today, and you're here with us. So we thank you for being here. Here's what we're going to learn today. I've got three different main bullet points that I want to cover. Number one, the three lead buckets where all the listing leads that you'll ever need will come from. There's really only three, and that's actually good news for you. I'm going to talk about the 8 key sources for listing leads in today's market. And then we're going to get into the 5 actions that you want to take right now in order to upgrade your success with listings. And I'm actually going to do this in a two-part, Lindsay. So I'm going to actually teach the content anytime that you feel like, hey, wait a minute, you need to unpack that some. Just stop me. We'll unpack it. But I'm going to try to leave some time toward the end so that any questions that you think, may have come up or whatever, we'll do like a Q&A. Yeah, kind of thing. So, but yeah, we can banter back and forth. So anytime you have anything, just interject. This is what I call a dream life, and this is what in our revenue share group, this is what I'm trying to get each of our members up to, earning a quarter million or more a year, working 20 to 30 hours a week or less, nights and weekends off, 4 to 5 vacations a year, and being debt free. This is the life that I lived pretty much throughout my listing career. Um, I typically never worked Fridays. If I did work Friday, I would work 2 or 3 hours. So nights and weekends were off. I worked Monday through Thursday. And my last year in sort of active production, I still cap every year because of just referral business and that kind of thing. But my last year in sort of active production, I did 153 deals, and it was just myself. I didn't have a team of agents. It was me but I had a lot of admin people. I actually had four admin people to handle that much, business, that volume of business. So you may not want to do a volume of business, and that's okay. Whatever your number is, I'm going to help you reach it here today on our class. So, first of all, how do you find listings? This is a big question that I get, and I actually talk about this quite a bit on my Success with Listings podcast. So if you like podcasts, um, check it out. Success with Listings podcast. If you don't like podcasts, try to like them. If you just can't like them, just forget about it. Not It's not the medium for everybody. Some people like to read, some people like to listen, some people like to watch. So I do it all. I have a podcast, I have books, and then I have YouTube. I have a pretty vibrant YouTube channel. So focus on the three buckets. Lindsay, I was at a friend's house. This was in Sacramento. I was in Elk Grove, and I asked myself, where are all these listening leads coming from? Because it was a question that I kept getting from stage. Back then, I was on the seminar circuit. I was doing three, four, five cities a month where I would go and do a success with listening seminar. And people would always ask, man, how do I get listings? And to me, it didn't seem like that was that was never the question for me. Like the listings just came like it didn't, because I'm a marketing guy like you, Lindsay. I'm marketing background, so it was like, well, you just market and you get them, But then I said, okay, wait a minute. Let me audit the last three or 400 listings that I've taken, and let me see what was the lead source. So I went, and there was like 12 different lead sources, but they all broke down to just three buckets, and those are number one, your sphere of influence. That goes without saying, right? Number two, your farm. And by the way, your farm could be a geographic, demographic. It could even be a digital farm. I'm okay with that. And then your niche. So your sphere of influence, your farm, and your niche. From those three buckets, all the listing leads that you desire will come. Okay. And in fact, the National Association of Realtors says that 7 out of 10 sellers, okay, the way that they decided to sell their house was that they went with either a previous agent, which is a very small percentage, or they got a referral from a family member, a friend, or church member, whatever it was. So 7 out of 10 of the listings that you take are going to come from your SOI. That's just the fact of it. Okay. There's so many people, so many of us that go out and we spend tons of money for leads. And I actually never paid for a lead. I did at this point over 1,200 listings. Never bought a lead. Now I'm not saying you can't buy leads if that's your thing. I just never have. Okay, and so I'm going to share with you some ideas on how to get leads for free. All right, my favorite four-letter word, and I like low to no cost. So let's talk about this for a minute. I'm going to talk about the three areas. Number one, your sphere of influence. I like to do what I call a 18 touch. Okay, so you're touching that person 18 times a year. That's a monthly e-newsletter, a quarterly postcard that goes out every single quarter, and then twice a year you're calling your top 200. Okay, that and then of course you can do a Christmas card or a New Year's card, but this is a way to stay in touch with your people. And by the way, when you call them, the simple script that I want you to use, very simple. First of all, get out of the idea of thinking around scripts. Now, I love scripts. In fact, I wrote a book that has 95 scripts in the book because I'm such a script guy. But a lot of people get hung up on scripts. You might be one of them. And so what hangs them up, I haven't memorized a script. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to say it right. I've got to get it perfect. And so what I've noticed is that some of the agents that I coach, they're afraid to take action because they don't have a script memorized. And so Uncle Nolly's going to give you the freedom to get out of the idea of needing a script. Here's going to be very simple. When you call your SOI, which is just your top 100 or top 200, preferably, not everybody. If you've got 500, 600, 700 people, I don't want you calling all of them. Okay, go through your database, pick your top 200. Who are the top 200 people that you can count on, or that you can kind of count on them if you teach them how to recruit for you or to refer you business. Okay, and by the way, most of the time when you're talking to someone, the business is not going to come from them. Okay. So remember, people only move about every 9 years, 6 to 9 years. So when you're talking to someone, only 1 in 10 people is even thinking about moving. Okay. So the other nine, what are you going to do for them? So when you call them, here's a simple script. Hello, how are you doing? That's as far as you need to know. Okay. All you're going to do is say, how are you doing? What's going on? Been a while since we talked. Okay. Now look them up on Facebook. Find out, hey, they just got a new puppy. The daughter just went off to college, whatever it is. Make conversation. You know, you look them up. Hey, I noticed your daughter just went out to off to college. And, how are you guys doing? Are you guys doing okay? Is there
I
anything I
know.
can
Oh
get?
my gosh. I'm so
Yeah, go
glad you
ahead.
said that. I'm so glad you said that because that's what I tell
Yeah,
people. They're like, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, okay, when people think social media and leads in real estate, they think like ads and posts. And I'm like, no, like that is your Rolodex. Well, there's some people that might not know what a Rolodex is, but to
sure.
me, that is a live Rolodex with real life content that you can
Yep.
speak about. And I have to remind people, listen, it's not about saying you sell stuff. It's about being top of mind as a trustworthy person. And to
Hmm.
do that, you have to talk about the other person. They want to hear their name.
Sure.
They want to talk and tell you and share. So it's
Yeah.
so funny how you would think it's not really that difficult of a concept, but man, the aha moment when you realize that the answers are right in front of you. Like they're telling you what to
Sure.
talk about in their posts. So I'm so glad you brought that up because I was just like
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, Facebook is my call sheet. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we have more
That's a
than
good point.
200. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how I
Yeah.
tell people. Facebook's your call sheet. I mean, it even tells you when their birthday is. I send them a birthday video. Like that's a new
Yeah.
thing. Instead of like typing happy birthday, go in their
Yep.
chat and just video, hey, just wanted to send you a personal message. Happy birthday. I normally do it with my dog. So it's like my dog and me are telling you happy birthday.
Yeah. I love it. It's interesting because it's just like you say, Lindsay, on Facebook, they're telling you what's important to them. Okay. And when you call them, all you're doing is you're talking about what's important to them. It's not about you. I've heard a lot of scripts like, hey, this is a business call. That's okay if you want to do that. But just call people, just reach out, connect with them, find out what's important to them. How are they doing? And it's always going to come back to, wait a minute, Lindsay, how are you doing? What's going on with you? It's always going to come back to that, right? At some point, there's going to be this pivot where they're going to throw
And
it back to you and say, what's
And
going
I
on with
tell
you?
people if it doesn't, you can always say, you know what, I just wanted to apologize. I've been so busy in real estate and
Sure.
running my business. Your family's been on my mind. You can always
Yep.
just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you and I'm never too busy for your referrals. Or if you know anybody buying
Love
or
it.
selling and the market's hard, I would love for you to help me out and just keep me in top of mind because you know I'm a great person and I'm trustworthy. Or so I always tell people, worst case scenario, you can always apologize for being busy
Sure.
and that you were on their mind and that makes them feel special. And you know what? You are on their mind. It's
Sure.
so no, I totally agree with you. I'm like so excited Tony's in court today. I was like, I'm like in love with this.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, hey, and I love your script. I was thinking about you. You know, when it comes back to you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to, when they say, "How are you doing?" Your default's going to be, you know what? I'm doing pretty good, but I got a big problem right now. Okay, that's going to be your default. I'm doing pretty good, but I kind of got a big problem right now. You know what? Maybe you can help me with my big problem. Okay. Now you're engaging them in problem solving. People love to help other people with their problems. And they say, well, hey, Lindsay, what's your big problem? What kind of problem? Well, sure. What is the problem? You know what my problem is? Inventory. I don't have enough. Right now, I'm looking to help 3 families before the end of the month or by the, whatever the time frame is within that month. I've got 2 families that I absolutely need to help before the end of the month, and I'm committed to helping these families. But by the way, who do you know that's thinking about buying or selling? Now, if you come across anyone, would you do me a favor and just introduce me to them on you can just do a text introduction? Would that be okay? Part of how you um, see what your job is to educate people on how you want to be referred business. Okay. So I always ask them to provide me or get permission to provide that person's contact information directly to me, or just do a 3-way introduction, via text. And if you educate enough people to do that, they'll start doing it. Their reticular activator will come up as they're and they're helping you solve a problem. Like, oh yeah, he's Lindsay's got three families to help. Who do I know? Let me consider that. Now, if you're making those calls, you're reaching out to 200 people. They're getting your postcard 4 times a year, and they're getting an e-newsletter from you every month. Okay, they're always gonna you're gonna be top of mind, and you're gonna be able to reach your goals. If your goal is 20 deals, 30 deals, 40 deals, 50 deals a year, 100 deals a year, I was able to do over 100 deals a year with just these strategies that I'm sharing with you. So that's your SOI. Number two is your farm. Okay. Now we don't have the time. This I've got trainings where teach for an hour or two just on how to farm. Okay. The good news is I'm going to give you guys access to a free book. This is a book that I wrote for my revenue share group, okay, because I wanted to get them into production, high production. And they were like, well, Nolly, how do I get leads? So I wrote a book that gives you 27 ideas, and one of them is farming. It gives you step by step how to farm, how to pick a farm, how to do all that, plus how to farm for free, because it shouldn't cost you any money, even to mail the postcards or any of that. It shouldn't cost you any money. But you have to be committed. I wrote it for my I actually wrote all this content because I'm a writer for my revenue share group, and then I had other groups asking me for it, and I was like, wait a minute, this is for my people. But then Brent came talking about, one team, one dream, one big fire. So we share it now with everybody. So I'll share that at the end. But you want to have a geographic farm. People tell me all the time, Nolly, farming takes a long time. Once you have a farm in place and you have it and you're dominating in that farm, you'll never be sorry that you did that, that you took that move. I mean, yes, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Everybody knows that. But the second best time to plant a tree is today. Don't worry about how long it takes to grow. You want to become the dominant face in a neighborhood of 500, 1,000 homes within a geographical area. And there's a lot of stuff that I teach about how to use every door direct mail, how to get your postcards printed without you having to pay a dime by partnering with just four sponsors, and so on. But just realize that you can farm for free, and you should have a farm of 500 to 1,000 homes. Super important. Now the third wheel on the spoke, and I'm going to share with you guys why all three of these are important in a minute, is your niche. We say you got a niche to get rich. You heard Lindsay earlier say that she was in farm and ranch. You should have a niche. Now,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to be the only thing that you do, um, but it should be something that is a specificity that you're known for. One of the questions I ask is, what do you offer that most of the other agents, uh, in if you're in a room full of agents, that the other agents just don't offer that. You know, why should a client use you versus the person next to you, or the person in your office, or in your, we call it virtual office, right? That's next to you. Why should they use you? There's a reason why cardiologists make $156,000 a year more than general practitioners. Okay, because they specialize. Now, again, you can still do it all, but I want you to have a specific niche, a listing niche that people know you for, whether it be for sale by owners, expireds, could be first-time home sellers. Okay, it could be luxury, farm and ranch. It could be homes on 1 acre or more. I mean, I actually list 20 some plus niches in my book, so you'll get access to that list. But let me show you how this ties together. When you want to be a high volume lister, you think about it, you're getting so many from your SOI, so many from your farm, and so many from your niche. Just think about it. If you were to take 6 to 10 listings a month, and by the way, I took more than 10 listings a month, and I did that for over 10 years in a row. Okay. And this is how I did it. A lot of people think, oh, that person's just getting leads from one place. That's not how it works. You've got multiple hooks out, and you're getting leads from multiple sources. So those are the three lead buckets. I teach a lot more on that on YouTube, a lot of free training out there that I do on my channel for those three buckets as well. Anything you want to add, Lindsay, to that?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you're like speaking my language over here.
Sure.
So Going back to the farming side of things, when you talk about your
Yeah.
geographical area, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's heard of Tito's vodka, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the one thing I heard, the owners of Tito's Vodka say is that, "I knew if I could own my backyard, I could own my neighborhood. If I could own Austin, I could own the world." And
Yep.
so really, you have to start with your geographical area, the people in your
You have
backyard,
to.
people in your
Yep.
church, the people in your clubs. And I had to revisit, I caught myself having to revisit that. And once I saw everything I was involved in just in my community, and that I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
taking advantage of reaching out to that particular bucket,
Yep.
and it's really simple. And I mean, just baseline stuff like the parents at school with your kids. Church is a huge one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, you wear
Big time.
your real estate name badge to church. I promise you, someone's coming up asking you a question.
That's
Also,
right.
your hobbies. I caught myself. I'm in two massive groups with hundreds of people in the outdoor world. And so I was like, man, I have not even remotely, looked at this as an opportunity because one, they know my face, they know my
Right.
name, and it's
Yep.
just planting that seed of, yes, I run a real estate business. If you know anybody, just asking for the business, not being what we call a secret agent.
Sure.
Um,
Absolutely.
so I wanted to
Absolutely.
add that about Tito's with the farming because what a brilliant concept. And it's such a
Yeah.
simple, just, you could spend one day a week just being mindful
Sure.
of and then the
Yeah.
niche, it's amazing. There's so many niche markets out there, and it may be a niche you're not aware of. I didn't
Sure.
realize that I'm really good at divorce properties.
Sure. Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
guess
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
living in an Italian family and knowing how to
Yeah.
argue and keep it chill, I was really good at divorce husbands and wives. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
there's
And
there's
that's a
so much.
unique skill set. That's a unique skill set for sure.
And everybody has one. So,
Yep.
don't give up hope. I know some of these agents are like, wow. Nolly, you've been in the business 20 years. So how many shifts have you seen? You've at least seen
Oh, a
two shifts,
bunch. A
right?
bunch. So when I got in, it was '03. And as '04 started circling around, I got in the end of '03 actually. So next year, the end of next year would be 20 years. And so the big shift when I first started, it was expireds was my big thing that I went after, and then things started going. People were underwater, so they started going toward distressed property, short sales. So that was a big shift that I made in my business, or I was going to get shifted out of the business. Well, guess what? I made 2 to 3 times as much money as I made in the shifting market than in a what we call standard traditional market. And of course, our market the last couple of 2 3 years has been anything but traditional.
Yet
Um,
it's been out of this world. Like no one's
yeah,
seen it before. You know what? I do want to touch base on expired because
sure,
I feel like the wise old school regime talks about expireds, but I really feel like agents out there don't understand what it means to go and target expireds. Like how is
yeah,
that done? Because obviously that's a niche and it's a
sure,
it's a niche that's already in the business. They want to sell their house, but they didn't. They were unsuccessful. So
yeah,
what
yeah.
could you tell me a little bit of nuggets of knowledge about how to reach expireds, maybe a little bit of the process if you don't mind?
Well, what I would say, and you got to look at the market. So right now, personally, I would not. We're coming into a little bit of that market. I think that market will shape itself up over the next 6 8 months. I think we're going to start seeing more and more expireds or people pulling their house off the market. What I would focus more on is old expireds, and I'm going to share. I'm actually going to talk about that in here next. And this is the question: is like if you were to pick eight, like okay, Nolly, what are the 8 sources right now in this market that you would focus on? I would say expires would not be one of them that I would focus on first. I would look at these 8 first. Does that make sense? Because so I'm going to go through these 8. Number one, trial listing. Okay, so a trial listing is this is something that a buddy of mine taught me out of Rancho Cucamonga, California, and I was like, man, let me try that, and it's been very successful for me. So whenever I find that a seller is considering selling, but they're just not sure, I say, well, Lindsay, why don't we just do a trial listing? You know what they always say? What's that? What's a trial listing? Oh, you a trial listing? Oh, well, okay. Well, a trial listing is where we try out your home on the market. We just try it out for a couple months, or not even a couple months. Rewind that, couple weeks. Okay, 15 days. We're gonna do a trial, 15-day trial. Now it used to be, Lindsay, you could do a 4 day. I was doing 4 day trials with people. So I'd list their house on Thursday. Obviously, we'd have it sold by Sunday, right? So, but it relieved them, like, oh, you mean I can do a trial? Yeah. But now here's the caveat. Here's the key to this. You're not going to do a 4 day listing or a 2 week listing contract, or listing agreement. Okay, your agreement's still going to be 6 months or whatever the term is that you normally go. But in the special provisions, I just put, or in the in I don't think it's called special provision. There's a line. I think it's paragraph 15 in our listing agreement, where you can put in other provisions there. And I just put seller may terminate this listing at any point after 15 days. Okay. Now what happens there, Lindsay, is that it gets them over the hump of the idea of selling. And we go through the process. We get the pictures. We put their house on the market, and now they're comfortable with it, and unless they tell me to pull it off the market, it's going to stay on. Okay. So I've just gotten them over the hump with the concept of a trial listing. The second thing I like is pre NODs. Um, Pre NODs is what we, NOD stands for notice of default. Okay. So
Real
there's a
quick,
lot
Knolly,
of
did you
people.
see that question down below by
Yeah, I
chance?
saw it. I saw
Okay.
it. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I saw that trial listing for owner occupied. We're going to get to the non-owner occupieds here in strategy number 8. But that's a good question, Tony. Yeah, trial listing for, yeah, owner occupied, non-owner occupied, doesn't matter to me. If they're thinking about selling, then I'm going to bring up a trial listing, because it sort of breaks the ice of the idea of, I mean, it's just still a listing, but it softens the blow on them, and it's less of a commitment in their mind. Now, once they're on the, I've never had somebody actually go through a trial listing and then pull their house. Like, okay, we went through the 4 days. Back when it would only take 4 days. It might be a 30-day listing for you. It might be, hey, let's try it for 30 days. If we don't get anything, at least you've tried. Okay, but now they got to put it on for the right price too. That's very important. Pre NODs. Now, NODs is notice of default. That means that somebody missed a payment, and or they missed more than one payment. But once they miss one payment, it shows up on their credit report. Once they're 30 days late. Okay, and there are companies where you can actually purchase that data, where it'll tell you, okay, and usually you'll get it from like Landvoice or RedX or somewhere like that. Uh, those are some of the companies that sell. But pre NODs are great because, um, back in the day when we were doing a lot of pre foreclosure, Chase did a study and they found out that if a person missed one payment, 50%, they were 50% likely to be foreclosed. Okay. So just if they missed one payment, half of those people would end up in foreclosure. Okay. So if a person's one payment behind, they're in trouble. Okay. And obviously, there's a kind of conversation you need to have with those people. You can't just call them, "Hey, I noticed you missed a payment." No, 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 no. But that is public information that you can purchase and you can get. And then you just call them and say, "Hey, I'm working in the area, in your area, and I'm just curious if you've ever considered selling your home or looking at what your home might sell for in today's market." You open up a conversation with them. Number 3 is old expireds. What I mean by that is we're talking about people whose homes expired in 2017, 2018, 2019 even, and they've never put them back on the market. That to me is a better source of working expireds than the person who expired, maybe a month or two ago. Now, in 6 months, that's going to change. I'm going to have you start working on just general expireds, and I do have a system for that too, which is probably a whole nother class. It could take me an hour just to teach that. But I did expires extremely successfully, for years and years, until what I found was that people couldn't sell their home because they didn't have equity, and that's what shifted me into short sales. And then when short sales were no longer necessary, I shifted into traditional listings. I mean, you can shift in and out. One of my favorite is probate and divorce. We'll talk about in a minute. So your SOI, we talked about them already, and I gave you a good script for that. Um, Reach out to them, like Lindsay said, apologize. Hey, if you haven't reached out to them in a while, say, hey, I've been busy, the market's been crazy. but I slowed down. I noticed you guys just got a new puppy. I just wanted to reach out to you. You've been on my mind anyway, and just talk to him. Okay. Um, and then probate. Now, probate is that is an area where a person is deceased, and I've got one right now. It's on if you know where it's in Austin. It's on Holly Street. They're listing for 900,000, and it's overpriced, but we have an offer working right now. I think we'll get it under contract this week. It's a probate that happens to be nine siblings, and one sibling was deceased, so it's split. So basically, there's like nine heirs.
The
Okay,
real
put it that
question
way.
is, Nolly, how many attorneys are involved?
You know, it's interesting on this one because I'm not even dealing with an attorney. This is weird.
Wow.
So here's what happened. The person died intestate. That means they didn't have a will. So we had to have we went through the process, and what we did was we went through the title company and got all, and the title company, see, every title company has an attorney on staff. Now they won't always tell you they can do this, but it is possible for them to work in clear title before you you know, I always have all that title work cleared. Now, it took us about 5 months to clear title on this one because it was so messy. Typically, on a probate, we'll have a number of attorneys involved. I mean, each person. Now get this. This is why it's interesting. I asked Sylvia, my client. I said, "Well, at the beginning, I said, now tell me about these siblings because I've dealt with it all. I've had siblings in prison. I've had some living in Japan. I've had siblings that have never talked to each other, and they hate each other. I mean, I had it all. You know what Sylvia told me? She said, "Nolly, we all get along." I said, "Wait a minute. Let me restate the question. There's nine of you, and what I said was because there's always that one in the family. There's always that one. You know, I don't know what that person's on, but there's always that one." I said, "Now, Sylvia, what I'm asking you is, we got to split this nine ways. Who is the holdout? Like who do I have to be worried about?" She said, "Nolly, we all get along. I mean, we go on cruises together." I said, "You guys all get along." I reiterated it several times, and she was like, "Yeah." And surely enough, I mean, they've all worked together. They filled out all the affidavit of airships, everything that the title company's asked them for. We have clean, crystal clear title, and we're ready to go. So make sure there's a lot of stuff on probate that you can get hung up with. Like if you do have a holdout person. Obviously, with nine siblings, anytime I get an offer, they've got to all review it, which takes time. But there is one person that's been like sort of delegated as the family, um, you know, person that is taking care of everything. So yeah, probate is a really good one. And divorce is another one. Now, divorce, as Lindsay said earlier, takes a specific skill set because I've had divorce sales where the husband or the wife did not even want to see, or one party didn't even want to see the other party's name on an email. Like, I don't even want to see them CC'd. Like, that's going to wreck my day if I even see them anywhere. And so you might have to have separate and distinct conversations with two people. So you have to be very patient in that in that niche, but it's a niche. I mean, when you look at one of the things that happened through COVID is people started spending a lot more time together. And they either realize one or two things, like, I really like being around you, or, you know what, I don't really like you so much. And so I think divorce is starting to creep up. And that's just, hey, it is what it is. So it's another great niche. Circle prospecting is another big one. And that's where you actually go to the 40, 50, or 60 homes around a property that just sold, an EXP property, or maybe your own listing, or a listing on your team. And you just say, hey, if you talk to the listing agent, if it's not you, you just say, hey, what was the activity on that listing? They say, oh, it was pretty good. We had two offers or whatever, and we had 10 showings or whatever it was. You just call them up and say, hey, I'm looking to be active in that area. How was that, how did it go? And if they talk to you, great. And then you just go around and say, hey, that other home is under contract already. Had like over 30 inquiries, and one buyer for sure didn't get it. And so right now there are buyers looking to buy in this area. Who do you know that's thinking about selling? You know, and you can do that every time you get a new listing, every time you go under contract, and every time you get it just sold. You can circle prospect around that. And I teach that strategy specifically, the scripts and everything in the book that I'm going to give you, make sure you guys get for free.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
ask
then,
you, do you mind putting do you have a link to it we could put in the chat?
yeah. I'll put it there in just a minute.
Awesome.
And
Thank
then off the market listings. Off the market listings. That's going to be huge. What does that mean? That means anybody that has their house for lease or is coming up to the end of their lease, or maybe they've been renting their property. These people, these absentee owners, and even others, are at a point now where they're, you know, um, it may not be the best time to sell, but it might be the best time for them to liquidate that property. Why? Because over the next couple of years, depending on what interest rates do, the market might be a little more volatile, and there's sort of a window of time where they can just liquidate if that's what they want to do. And there's a lot of people that fit that bill. So this is just 8 sources. I'm actually going to give you 27 ways to get leads, but this is just to get your juices flowing um, on these 8 different ways. This is the book here. Now, when I first wrote it, it's called Triple My Listings: 27 Marketing Ideas for Free Seller Leads. For free seller leads. Not no, None of these ideas will cost you money. Okay, and if it does cost you money, I show you how to get sponsors to offset the cost to where it won't cost you anything. And so you can get that at my website. Just go to Knolly.com. Don't go there now because I got more information for you here. You're like a squirrel. Hey, let me go right now. KNOLLY.com, Knolly.com. You pay the shipping, we send you the book. Okay. And so again, 27 marketing ideas for free seller leads, triple my listings. Now, what I want to share, the last thing I want to share with you guys is 5 things that you want to start doing today. When? Right now, so that you can get on track with taking more listings. These are 5 actions to take right now to upgrade your success with listings. Number one, you have to shift your mindset. The way you think, the way you talk, the way you act, the way you write, the way you are. You should be geared toward listings. Okay, I'm going to say this, and it occurred to me when I was coaching one of my clients last year sometime. Because he kept asking me, his name is David, out of Toronto, Canada. He kept asking Nolly, man, I keep getting all these buyer leads, but I want to focus on listings. So I said, well, wait a minute here. Let me see your marketing. So I looked at all his marketing, Lindsay, and sure enough, all his messaging was to buyers. And I said, dude, you got to change your messaging. When you change your messaging, you'll start getting different results. Like my messaging was always, are you thinking about selling your home? That was a question mark. Okay. It was on my billboards, it was on my van, it was on my postcards, it was on everything, my website. Or I would say, hey, what could your home be worth in today's hot market? Or in today's volatile market, what is your home now worth? It was always to the home seller. That doesn't mean that you won't have all the buyers that you can handle, because what is the one strategy that you can implement to generate all the buyers you need? Getting listings. Okay, when you have listings, you get buyers, no problem. Okay, so you have to shift your mindset, and a lot of the work that we do is, and Christ talks about this. It's in what we call the quantum field. Okay, it's in the spiritual realm. Okay, and I would do things, Lindsay, like I'm a very spiritual person. I've been teaching Bible classes since I was 18 years old. Okay, and I would name it and claim it. A lot of people think this is crazy, but I would roll through a neighborhood and I would say, I'm going to list that house, I'm going to list that house, I'm going to list this one. And I was very intentional in what I would think. Okay, because a lot of people say I don't have affirmations, but then they go around saying, oh, I can never get anything. Nothing ever happens right for me. That's an affirmation. You just
Yeah.
made an affirmation.
Amen.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Like I tell people that all the time. It says ask and you shall receive. And
absolutely.
if you go to any of these events, you will hear people talk about their meditation, their affirmations.
Oh
They're getting
yeah.
their mind right to prepare for that. Even when I was training, I used to train for the Olympics.
Wow.
Even in our coaching, it was like see yourself on the podium. See
Sure.
yourself making the perfect shot. I was a shooter. I was a competitive shotgun shooter.
Woo!
So see
All
yourself,
right.
you had to see yourself winning for you to see the path to win. And if you don't see a
Absolutely.
path to win, you're going to go wherever you're looking. If you're pointing your
Yep.
flashlight behind you, that's where you're going to see. So you got to keep
Hmm.
keep it forward, dream big. And it was said several times at EXPCon, if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough.
That's right.
Because even if you don't reach those dreams, where you get is going to be far greater than where you are right
Sure.
now. Um,
Sure.
and it's definitely easier said than done. But just
Yep.
starting a plan of action today with some of these items, and mind you, like, I'm a managing broker. I've done this over and over again, and sometimes, guys, we do get deflated. We do get
Yeah.
tired,
Yeah.
so picking yourself back up from where you are today and say, "Okay, I'm gonna focus on this. I'm gonna win," you know, put it out there, speak it to happen.
Yep.
I'm always the one that says, asking you, it's asking you shall receive, and I'm
That's
like,
right.
throw it out there into the universe, and let God know what you want, because you
Yep.
also are telling the devil what you don't want to happen. So don't
Sure.
feed the devil
Sure. Absolutely.
bad
Absolutely.
things that
Yeah.
he can work on. So I'm very spiritual as well. God is good all the time.
Amen.
Timing is in everything, and I tell people that as well. And I
Yeah.
even sometimes, mind you, you attract the people that are like you.
Yeah.
And
For
so most
sure.
of my clients are very spiritual as well. And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
let's calm down, let's focus. It's going to happen the way it's supposed to. And about God and patience, like
Yep.
be
Yep.
very
Yep.
careful with that, because you're gonna get
Absolutely.
a lesson in it if you're not careful. But
That's
no,
absolutely right.
it's so amazing to hear a leader that's been successful and being true to yourself, and what
Oh
you believe
yeah.
in. And then these nuggets of knowledge, these are very foundational. If you stick to
Sure.
these, you're going to be successful because they are tried and true. Like this is foundational work of real estate and just molding it to who you are as a person.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting that, Lindsay, some people will try to figure out a different way to create a foundation. Now, it is possible that at some point they will start using something other than concrete. I'm totally open to that. But until that happens, um, let's go ahead and pour concrete on this foundation, and let's not try to create a different foundation than what has been created, because I can tell you, whether you're doing uh 20 deals a year, 50, 100, 1,000 deals a year, like some of my friends do. You have to implement these strategies, and you have to be listing focused. You can't you By the way, you will work a third of the time on a listing as you will on a buyer. That's just a fact. So you could actually do, like this year. I could, if I did 60 buyers, okay, I could spend. It would take me, if I did 20. Let's say I did 40 listings, okay, this year, or that's about the same amount of time as it would take me to work 13 buyers, okay. And when you highly leverage it, which I teach, you got no problem. Okay, so the sky's really the limit. I like what you said. Shoot for the sky, because at least you'll hit the treetops. Okay, if you shoot for the treetops, you might not hit anything. So yeah, number one, mindset. Number two, you've got to do the two. This is very critical. Every single day, I want you lead generating from 9 o'clock to 11. Okay, every day, and that's your two strategies. The two things that you're going to be focused on is lead gen and appointments. Lead gen and appointments. So that's 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. Now, a lot of teachers teach that you should be doing this 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. And that may be true for you if you're at rock bottom and you need to build up. You can do that. But I want you to ease back into a schedule of lead generating for 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. I guarantee you there's not a goal that you have that you cannot reach if you keep this schedule. It's not going to be possible for you not to hit your goal. Okay. Number three, I want you to focus on listings. We're not going to beat that horse, because that's what we've been talking about this whole time. But that should be one of your core foundational. Shift your mindset, do the two, and focus on listings. Number four, Lindsay already talked about this. Okay, become famous. What did Tito's do? They started in their backyard, which meant that they were able to, they dominate their backyard, which meant that they could dominate their neighborhood, which meant that they could dominate their city, which meant that they could then dominate their state, which meant that they can then dominate the country. When I'm in Puerto Rico, what do you see? Tito's handmade vodka signs everywhere. So and it comes right from Austin, Texas, right? So I love that. Grow where you're planted and become famous. Jesus Christ is very famous. He was very famous when he walked the earth. But you don't have to be. A lot of people say, I don't want to be famous. Well, you don't have to be snooty, haughty, arrogant, proud, boastful. That none of that has anything to do with being famous. Okay, people should know who you are in the areas where you serve. Let me say it again. In the areas where you serve, you should not be a secret agent. You should be well known. Okay, so that people can call on you, and your name should come right. And I have a lot of stuff where I teach you how to become famous on my website and my trainings. There's a strategy to that. And then number five, this is very important. Okay, I'm going to slow down on this one. You have to lead generate to your personality profile. Okay, if you lead generate the way I lead generate, you may not be that successful. You have to lead generate to your personality profile. That's right. You have a superpower, and you figure out what it is. You take the disc profile, you take a couple of assessment tests, and you figure out, wait a minute, um, I'm, I like to be around people. I like going to parties, or maybe I don't like to be around people that much. Whatever, maybe you're going to be a probate person if you don't like to be, around people that, or maybe you're going to shift into this other area. So, and the way you know it is when you get my book, when you get it in the mail, you're going to go through these strategies and you're going to see strategy number two. Okay. And you're going to look at it and you're going to say, that I hate that strategy. I don't like that at all. That means it's not for you. It's not suited for you. You only have to pick three or four strategies, and if you want to do 40 deals this year, or you want an icon, you only have to pick three or four of these 27, not all of them. Okay. And so you go through and you look at what resonates with you. I give you a lot of strategies because different strategies are going to be for different personality profiles. You might be a high D, you might be a high I, you might be an SC, high on that. Okay. Doesn't matter. You're going to be able to find success with listings no matter what. So here's what we learned. I'm going to recap and we'll kind of wrap it up. The three lead buckets where all the listing leads that you ever need will come from. There's only three, okay? And you focus on those. There's 8 key sources for listing leads right now in today's market, okay? And then what are 5 actions that you need to take right now to upgrade your success with listings? Okay, that's what we covered. And maybe you feel like this right now. You feel like you got that fire hose. You got a lot, Uncle Nolly, a lot of information. There's a couple things I'm going to tell you to do. Number one, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Why? Because I drop a video every single day. Okay, how often? Every day I try to drop a new video. It's going to be 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes of wisdom for you to help you in your career and to help you succeed. Go to nolly.tv and you'll be able to go right to the link to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's action number one. Act number two, get your free book. Okay. Triple my listings. You can go to nolly.com, click on it. You pay the shipping. We send it to you. You live happily ever after. Thank you, Lindsay. This was fun. This is fun. I'm almost kind of glad Tony didn't show up. We won't let
You
him
know
hear
what?
that.
It's so funny. I saw your class. I saw your class, and I've been meaning to get with you because listing in the farm and ranch world is a lot different. It's different because
Sure.
you know the time frame. It may take a year. I've
Absolutely.
had ranches take 5 years to sell. So your
Yep.
strategy and your planning is very important,
Absolutely.
and your lead generation as well as how you market, and
Yep.
keeping that timeline and getting another listing and getting another listing, and then also working with your
Sure.
buyers and your buyers pipeline.
Yeah.
So being in that niche market, I wanted to pick your brain, and I'm so sorry I
Sure.
missed your class, but I'm like, yes, this is perfect. It was meant to be. You and I today
Absolutely.
on the Wednesday Words
Absolutely.
of Wisdom.
Yeah, Wednesday wisdom, baby. And
That's right.
yeah. Well, thank you, Lindsay, for having me. I want to also thank Tony. I know you're in court today. You'll listen to this later.
Poor thing.
Thank you, thank you for tuning in and listening as well. We really appreciate you. And let us know in the comments below if you're on YouTube. Put a comment down below. Let us know what strategy you like best. what you're going to start implementing. What was your aha? What was your takeaway? Or even any tip that you have to help our agents succeed.
Absolutely. And would you mind sharing this slide deck with us too? That way we can get it posted because I feel like revisiting some of those checklists. And also, too, you talked about time blocking, setting aside the 9 to 11. Time blocking
Hmm.
is huge. I know people, we beat it into a lot of these agents' heads, but you literally got to shut everything down and just focus on that task at hand so it feeds you
Sure.
30 days down the road. So I
That's right.
appreciate you saying that. I mean, yep, we got to use
Yep.
it. Hey, haven't came up with anything better than concrete. So we're
Not
just gonna
yet.
keep on in that foundation.
All right. Well, that's the way we do it. Thank you, Lindsay. Bless
No,
you.
thank you, sir. God bless you as well. Have a beautiful day.
All right. God bless. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.